Almost. And we are live. Welcome, everybody. Before I get into the discussion, I like to always describe what the 90 means. 90% of what we go through in life is about our past, and only 10% is about the here and now, making it very, very important to know your 90. The 90 represents our story. So, this is why we're here today, because we all have a 90 that represents how we think, how we move in life, how we engage with people. It all depends on that 90%. A lot of times we don't necessarily consider the importance of knowing your story, knowing that 90% why people move the way they do. So I am so happy to have you guys here tonight. And so before we get started, I want everybody to just go around the room. Well, Neil and Tanya, we went to high school together, Michael. And I met Michael on the Tom Joyner cruise, and he's part of the Silver Fox squad. So I met him there. And how do you pronounce your name? Can you hear us?
Sejan.
Sejan, easy enough.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you guys all hear Sejan?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So I just met Sejan. So it's a pleasure knowing you, meeting you. We had a brief encounter yesterday, also that we can make sure that we got online. So we can just go around and just tell us who you are, what's your profession, that type of thing. Neil?
All right, I'm Mr. Neil. I am a general contractor and a real estate investor. I've been a contractor. I've been in the contracting field since 1988. I joined the union in 1990, and I've been doing it ever since. Got into real estate in 1992. So that's what I do. That's who I am. I'm a lover of people. I'm a lover of love, and I'm a lover of relationships. That's me, Mr. Neil.
Okay, Mr. Neil. Miss Tanya.
Yes, Miss Tanya. Hello, everybody. My name is Tanya. I am a licensed nail therapist. We're not called manicurists anymore, or techs. Techs are students. I've been doing nails since 1990. I've been at my current location in downtown Farmington for the last 9 years, since December of 17. Like Neil said, I'm a lover of people. I'm a Christian. And this is going to be very interesting because I talk to a lot of women on a daily basis. So I'm representing for us. So we're going to see how this goes.
It's going to go well. I picked the right people. Okay. Sejan, hope I said that right. Did I say that right? Can you introduce yourself?
You did. My name is Sejan, affectionately known as Suge the Barber, or in social media, the social media streets, Mr. I Create Confidence. If you ask me what I do, I would say I create confidence by enhancing your image, i.e., I am a barber. I'm also a stylist, actor, model, speaker, father, do a lot of things. I am what they would call a comma, multi-hyphenated as a human being. I am also a lover of humanity. My moniker in life for me is to love my neighbor as I love myself. That is regardless of religion, that is regardless of identity, that is regardless of cultural background. So long as you don't harm or hate me or the people I love, then I love you. But if you do, we got problems. And I'm from the east side of Detroit, and I ain't got no problem with problems.
East side, right? I hear you say, John. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Michael?
Sure. Mike Johnson here from Washington, D.C. I am a bespoke tailor, so I make custom clothing for men and women. Also a member of the Silver Fox squad, and also a preacher, father, husband, grandfather, all of the above, and also, again, an ordained reverend who specializes in relationships. So my wife and I are the minister to married couples. At our church, we've been doing it now for close to about 22, 23 years. So we got a little bit of time and space in this area. So looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, me too. And my name is Anika. I'm your host. I've been loving relationships, since I could talk. I grew up on Detroit's West Side, And I was known as the neighborhood therapist. I always wanted to see people happy and healthy in relationships. I remember when I was graduating high school, one of the things that I said, I'm going to be the greatest psychologist ever. And you know, there are many greats out there, but I feel like I'm one of them. I feel like I was born to do this work. I was born to pour into people by way of counsel. Because like I say, I think everything we do is about a relationship and you can't get around it. When you think about all the disturbance that we have in life, or is due to a relationship or the lack thereof, making it very necessary to have healthy relationships. And so I'm all about healthy relationships, healthy communication, active listening. That is so important to me because without that foundation, you cannot have a relationship. So here we are. I picked you guys because I felt like it was a good panel of people really, you know, from varying backgrounds to talk about the varying subjects that we're going to talk about. So what I want to do, I want to make sure, again, thank you for being here this evening because you could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here this evening. So I want to ask all our viewers, if you have any questions that you in comments, since we already got some comments, we'll be happy to answer those questions. But we want to first just get into the conversation.
Mhm.
Neil and I, like, we've had some okay. The last couple of days, me and Neil, because we grew up like family too, like we were cousins. Because my best friend is his cousin, and we live next door. And so Neil is like my cousin. And so the last few days, I wanted to put him in a headlock, right? And so
Right.
and so me and Michael, we've been knowing each other since October, but it seems like, you know, he feels like a brother to me. It's like we've been having conversations, we learn from each other, we glean from each other, and it's been a good relationship. And we disagree too, right? So it's just like, okay, yeah, a little bit, right? You're right, just a little bit, not much. We're pretty much on the same cycle in terms of what we think about relationships. You've been married 30 years, 30 plus, right, Michael?
Yep.
Okay, the volume is going down a little, Michael.
Should be 31 years. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good. And I've been married 22. So yeah, so we got some. So we're the married people on the block right now. So the question that I have, so again, thank you guys. The question that I have is, and I'm going to present this to Neil first. When you were younger, did you dream of becoming a husband? Was that something you said, you know what? And again, I'm going to say this. Let's keep the comments concise because I want to hear from everybody. And I say we may be on here longer than an hour if you guys are okay with that, just a little bit. But I want to make sure we get some quality conversation here. Did you dream of being a husband, Neil?
Absolutely. My life growing up as a kid in Detroit, on the west side of Detroit, about a mile and a half from Cooley. I was raised by my mom, and so my dad wasn't there. Get off that door! My dog is acting up just because she know I'm on this podcast. I'm
Oh
telling
yeah,
you,
she is too. Right.
So yeah, see, I grew up in the west side of Detroit. Grew up with single parent home. My mother, my dad wasn't around. He did teach me to trade, but you know he wasn't in my life as a father. He was more of a coworker. So yes, I've always dreamed of being a husband ever since I was 14, 15 years old. I've never visualized myself being anything other than that. A husband has always been a key thing to me. So yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Taya, what about you? Did you dream of being a wife? Was that something you felt like I want to do that?
Actually, yes, Nika, and I was married for 4 years.
Okay.
I was married to my son's father for 4 years, so I have experienced that. I would like to be married again because I have been divorced, I want to say since '06. So that's
Okay.
been 20 years. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I've been divorced for 20 years, so I would like to be married again. I would
Okay.
be. Mhm.
Okay. So, Sejan, what about you? You're the youngest of the group, I can tell. Just that baby.
You sure?
Yeah.
I did not. The advent of wanting to be a husband didn't come along for me until college. That's where I met. That's when I was heavy into Christianity. I was preaching and teaching and got ordained and stuff like that. And in that system is where I was like, I mean, I always knew what a husband and wife was, but that's where it became a thing. And I ain't gonna go into that story. But yeah, that's when that happened, and that's where that desire came from. I'm also recently divorced. I was married for 8 years.
Okay.
If it is a question, yeah, I definitely do want to be married again. I don't see myself as the 40, 50-year-old guy out here talking about someone trying to find somebody. That's a little weird for me. If that's your
Mhm.
quest, then that's your quest, or whatever. But no, I mean, I typically don't think that. I think women are typically raised to be wives and mothers, but boys aren't typically raised to be fathers and husbands. That's not something that's put on us from an early age. We even if we see it every day, I don't. I'm the first father I've known to say to my sons, because I have a daughter also, "You're gonna be a good husband one day."
Wow.
So yeah.
That's good. Thanks so much for that. Michael, I know you're married, but did you see yourself being a husband before you married your wife?
No, not at all. Like Sejan, my story is pretty much the same. I didn't think about marriage until I met my wife, who I've been with now for almost 40 years. And I met her back in 1989. And it wasn't until I met her that I was like, oh, you know what? This is the person I'm going to marry. I think, Nika, I told you this. When I first saw my wife, God dropped it in my spirit. And I wasn't even saved at the time that was my wife. In 1989, I'm 19 years old, and I'm like, I don't even know how this God is saying this to me, because in 1989, Nika, I'm a sophomore in college, and that's the last thing on my mind is being married to anybody. But I knew when I saw her that she would be my wife one day. And that was really when I started thinking about it. Other than that, I didn't grow up thinking about being you know what's interesting? I didn't grow up thinking about being a husband, but I thought about being a dad, which is interesting because I think in our communities, most Black men probably think about being a dad well before they think about being a husband, which is actually backwards and is wrong. It should be the other way. But that's how I grew up.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. I think for me, I guess I didn't know marriage was an option for me, only because I didn't necessarily always see, like my parents were married and divorced. And so when you experience a divorce between your parents, you say to yourself, you see other relationships around you, not necessarily is not the ideal situation. You say to yourself, is that an option for me? So I used to say I would get married and divorced at least one time because I thought divorce was a hereditary thing, unfortunately. Yeah, I got great parents, they didn't, remain married, but I didn't feel like, you know, it was a long-term thing. And I've been married for, happily married 22 years. And I remember me and my sister, that was our mindset. We thought that, you get married and divorced at least one time. That's just the cycle. And that should not be the cycle in our community. That should not be the thought. And I think a lot of times we feel that way because we feel like we don't necessarily have the tools to sustain a relationship. It's so easy to get in a relationship, but the managing piece is what is very hard for people. But it's easy to get in and out. But can you manage that relationship? And I think a lot of times people don't consider like the emotional maturity and all the things that we're going to talk about tonight. So let's go to some of the comments. Just I don't want to ignore our guests just a bit. Okay. Well, people are just, hey, Cooley. Okay. Okay. Hey, Tanya. People are just speaking to you. Okay. Okay. That's good. Thank you guys. It's please. I'm here to support. People are just showing their support. We thank you guys so much. Recognize how important relationships are, not just romantic relationships, all relationships. Okay, let's get into the nitty gritty. Okay. So one of the conversations that we were having that me and Neil have been debating, and actually me and Michael, we've talked about this too. We talked about Kevin Samuels and the high value man, the high value woman. And I think for me, the wording has just kind of caused me to be distracted and not be able to really consume what's really being said. So Michael, I want you to go first this time. Because I think you were a fan of Kevin. I don't know if I'm gonna call it a fan, but you supported some of his language, not all of it, but some of it. Can you express to me how you feel about his message?
Yeah, Kevin Samuels actually was my frat brother. God rest his soul. he was a marketing genius. He was on the cusp of doing something that most of these guys, these blue pill or red pill guys out here are copying. Most of these guys you hear who supported Kevin Samuels, their language is all the same. I agree with about 95% of everything he said,
Okay.
but I did not agree with the way he said. His delivery was, in my estimation, it was wrong, but it was right for him because what he did, if you understand anything about the marketing space, especially as it relates to social media, he was a genius. What he did was to get people rattled. That's the way that you grow your audience. That's the way that you make a ton of money. Not sure that that's what you want to do if you want to be considered a relationship expert. But he touched on a few things that I think women in particular hated about him, but resonated with men. And the reason that it did was because, in my estimation, again, is because he said a lot of what men felt or feel, but women ignore. So, for example, he was trying to teach women how men feel, not necessarily how women feel about what men feel. So when he spoke from a man's perspective. And what he was doing, he was trying to teach women this is how men think. So if you want to be with, I wouldn't call him a high value man because I think that was the wrong term. I think a high net worth man would have been a more proper term. Because when you think about a high net worth man, you think mainly in terms of money or finances or assets. And Kevin Samuels was one of those guys, especially in the black community. He was probably in the 1%, the 1 to 3% of black men of high earners. And so, he has some really, really great points, and we can get into them. And I always share with you, Anika, he was a marketing expert. He was not a relationship expert. And all of this, and for most of you people who are watching me now, I'm a member of the Silver Fox Squad, as I said earlier, it was all for entertainment. Like, if you understand that what he did was for entertainment purposes, then you'll be okay. If you take it at face value as a relationship expert, it will mess you up. His goal wasn't to necessarily bring or provide this relationship expert advice, but it was really for entertainment.
Okay.
And two things can be true, meaning you can actually provide entertainment and you can provide relationship advice.
Okay.
It wouldn't be advice that I would give to my daughter. I have 3 daughters. So I would never, ever give a lot of the advice that he gave to women. But I would have them heed to the advice because it was the perspective from a male. And so you got to understand, if you want a particular kind of man, which is really what he spoke to, then you might want to pay attention to this because these men operate in this space and this is how they do business. And most of it is transactional.
Okay.
So if you want that type of man, like we talked about on Monday with Meg Thee Stallion and Clay Thompson, then there's some rules.
Okay.
And the men at that level, they set the rules.
Okay.
And
So
a lot of women don't want to hear that, but it's the absolute truth.
Okay. I can appreciate that, and I'll give my 2 cents later. I'm going to go to I really want to the comments concise because I really want to get to everybody. Neil, I want you to share your thoughts.
We had a 3-hour conversation about that, and me and Nika. And a high value man, to me, it's not just about his finances. It's multi-layered. It's a lot of attributes that see when you say high value, when you think of value, you think of quality. You don't think of money when I think of value, I think of quality. So there are certain attributes and qualities that I consider high value men to have. Emotional intelligence, they take care of themselves well, they dress well, they have a level of swag, they're respecting their community, their friends, their parents, their kids, everybody. He don't have to make $150,000, $200,000 to be high value to me. Now, if he's going to be a high earner and a high value man, then you put those together. But to me, being a high value man doesn't necessarily mean that he's high earning. But yes, Kevin Samuels spoke primarily of the high earning men. And so, yes, I do agree with that. I watched a lot of his content. I agree with maybe 90 to 95% of it. His approach was trash in most cases. I was very disappointed the way that he spoke with women. I didn't like the way he talked to women. You know, he would denigrate them. He would call them out their names, and that's not respectful. But to my man's point, it was for entertainment purposes. So, you know, he did that to get the clicks and the likes.
Mhm.
But his content was solid for the most part. It was solid. And it was content that I could give a lot of his content. I've been speaking like Kevin Samuels and saying his stuff before I even knew it was a Kevin Samuels. So I understand Kevin Samuels. My approach is different. Well, I think it is. Nika may not think it is, but I think my approach is a lot different than he is. I don't denigrate women. I don't disrespect women, but I do speak directly. And the directness of it is because of my passion and my concern for our community and for relationships and families. If we don't make a difference, if we don't start changing things around here, we're already in the rabbit hole. Now, if we get down there too far without a flashlight, we won't find our way back. So I
Okay.
think that we got to figure this thing out.
Okay.
That's what I say.
Okay. Thank you so much. So Tanya,
Mhm.
as the lady, you're representing the ladies, right? We're
Mhm.
representing, but
I
you're
am.
really representing the ladies. 'Cause I'm trying to be the host and I'm trying to stay neutral, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
do you feel like, and I'm going to get to you saying the wise. I feel like I feel so bad. I'm not saying that
Good.
right.
Say Suge. Say Suge.
Yeah.
And I'm making his name more difficult than it is. I know I am. And I apologize. I have the same problem with my name. So I am so sorry. Because I respect people and their names. I want to get it
Mhm.
right. So do you feel like, Tanya, it's important for us, when I hear, a man calling themselves high value,
Mhm.
do you feel like it's up to the consumer to decide what's high value? Because when I listen to them, I'm like, okay, how do a man decides their value? Yeah, we can all say, we can
Mhm.
all feel like we're good, but do you
Mhm.
feel like it's a man's role or the woman's role to determine their value when we're engaging in a relationship, or is it up to the consumer?
I think high value is just another way of saying I'm a confident person. Um, it's I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I
Okay.
agree with what Mike and Neil was saying about the approach and how some of the things, because when I would watch him, I wasn't a follower of him, but when I would watch him, he got popular. And when I would watch him, the majority of the women that I saw calling in, they really embarrassed themselves. Some of them didn't have themselves together. The one that stuck out with me is when a young lady called and she had 6 kids and she was talking about she wanted a man that made 6 figures. And he asked her what kind of work she did. And she was saying she didn't have a job, and whatever the name of the welfare was in the state that she was in, she said, and he said, "What's that?" But so a lot of them did embarrass themselves. um, I don't have a problem with people being confident, because if a man said to me that he was high value, first of all, you shouldn't have to tell people what you are. They should be able to see it. You know,
Absolutely.
I don't have to go around telling, people I'm high value. I have confidence. People see it, especially men, because men are, if they're nothing else, they're very observant.
Mhm.
So men can see. And just like Michael said before, and it's something that he said that I agree with, men know. They know. He said the Holy Spirit told him, and Neil and I kind of had a short conversation the other evening about that. I said, pray. It's the scriptures say, he who finds a wife finds what's good and receives favor from the Lord. So if you are serious, right, if you are 40, 50 plus, and you are serious about wanting to be married and want to be in a meaningful, valuable relationship that will turn into marriage, I told him, I said, pray and ask God to show her to you. And Michael just confirmed the conversation that we had the other day. So it's nothing wrong with someone calling themselves high value, but I don't feel like it's necessary.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Shug, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Did you follow Kevin Samuel?
Not really. Seen a lot of his stuff because the people around me, the guys around me, talked about him like he was a god and stuff like that. So I caught what I caught, seen plenty of his videos. I wasn't necessarily a follower of Kevin Samuels. For me, I mean, first thing, he's a noob and I'm a Sigma, so it's like, but you know, it happened. In there right
It's
quick.
all love.
It's all love already. But for me, like, did he say some things that had some value? Yes. I think everybody is right. And I'm thinking of, there were things he said that the point got lost in the sauce because of how he said it. But
Yep.
that was also marketing. He didn't blow up until World Star put that one video on there. And because for years before that, he was getting on men's head the same way and nobody was listening.
Yep.
As soon as he got that, I ain't gonna say nobody, not a lot of people were listening. Then all of a sudden, baby girl come on there and she started talking. She was definitely talking crazy, and he blows up because he got at her. And I'm pretty sure he saw, like, because I don't remember what his background was. I used to know, but he saw that and was like, "Oh, light bulb. I understand that."
Sales. His background was sales, by the way. Marketing and sales.
Marketing and sales, right?
Oh,
So it makes perfect sense.
Makes
to me.
sense.
Yeah.
You know, from an academic standpoint or whatever, to go that way. But when I would get off into a lot of the things that he said, the older I got, the more I grew emotionally. I started to see Kevin Samuels as very toxic. A lot of what he said is very much rooted, and me and Neil have had it out about these things all the time in the shop. A lot of things that he said was very much rooted in patriarchy, and I'm not a fan of patriarchy personally. And at the same time, I think he was very good in saying exactly what man he was talking about and what man he was talking to. When he said high value, he's not talking about any of the values that we're talking about. He was talking about money. And he said that because when he would ask the woman, what's a high value man, they always started with money.
Yeah.
So that's the way he went.
True.
I respect that.
Okay.
So I was the guy who, when dudes would, man, Kevin Samuels said this, they would be on Facebook, and I had to tell one of my homies, and we stopped talking for a while because he got mad. I said, hey, man, you make a hot $45,000 a year soaking wet. He ain't talking to you. You can't treat women like that.
No.
That he's talking about. And they,
Right.
they got mad, just like with Meg Thee Stallion's last thing when she wore the little get up to the award show. And I never let my woman come out the house like that. She disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. I said, a lot of you Negroes would never have this problem because you would never even put your mouth to talk to a woman that looked like Meg Thee Stallion in the first place. You won't even talk to her. So you won't even have to worry about your woman walking out the house like that.
Okay.
And like I said, to answer the question when it comes to Kevin Samuels, not the biggest fan. Understand what he's saying and who he's talking to. The problem is everybody was listening and he was not talking to everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to some of our comments here. Have a blessed one. High value is a cheap brand at Kroger. Okay. Let me see the next one. She says, yes. Why would you call and not look good and not having your life together? You're embarrassing yourselves. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes education is important. I think sometimes some are normalized how we show up. And I think it's important that we educate people as opposed to embarrassing them. That person no one may have never given her the truth, right? And so sometimes I get giving people the truth, but some people live in a world where no one is actually talking to them in a way that's educating them and building them up. So he had an opportunity to do that, but sometimes that tone can compete with the real message. And I think that's why when we say, people say, well, this is just how people talk. This is how we do things. I say, but at what point do we decide the way we're delivering messages isn't working in our community? There's a way to effectively communicate something without insulting someone. Because again, if we're really trying to get the message across, we want to deliver it in a way where it can be received, delivered, and lived. And I feel like sometimes we miss that.
So this is where Anika and I kind of went back and forth because, as Suge said, Kevin Samuels achieved everything he tried to or was trying to achieve. He didn't miss the mark at all. He wasn't trying to give relationship expert advice in the way that you see it, Anika. It was first marketing, second sales, third clicks, fourth get the bag. And it doesn't mean it was in that order. It's just what he was trying to do. Notice I never say anything about relationships. Kevin Samuels, his goal was not necessarily focused on relationships. It was focused on getting the bag. How many clicks could I get? I don't know if you know this, Anika, but Kevin Samuels' fan base consisted of 98% women.
Yeah.
That was his fan base. So we know for a fact that women tuned in every single week to hear him talk and speak about what he thought about women. And then what he wanted them to know from a man's perspective, what he felt a high value. And keep in mind, when he said high value, it really was monetary. It had very little to do with some of those other things. That's why I said I wish he'd have changed it to net worth, because that's really what he was talking about. Because if you talk about values, then that's something completely different. I think Shug and Neil, you said it. The values that we share are not the values that Kevin Samuels didn't really share those type of values with us. If he did, we wouldn't hear him speak the way that he did to women, not about them necessarily, but to them. Because as a high value man, you would never say or deliver those kinds of messages to women, especially the way that he did. So again, I just want us to make sure that we're on the same page. He wasn't trying to be a relationship expert. His goal was to grow his membership. His membership was through the roof. I wish we could have seen the numbers he was really putting up, because we really will never know what he was doing. But what we can see is that all of these podcasts that have grown, all of these men who follow Kevin Samuels and now go online, it's unbelievable. His following probably is exponential post-death, which is amazing. That could be the case. So he did exactly what he was trying to do, and it wasn't in the space of being an expert therapist. That wasn't what he was trying to do.
I'll say this.
Hold on, let me say something.
Okay,
I feel like when you have a platform and you have the attention of people, I feel like there is a responsibility. And again, some people don't want to be the person to lead people in the right direction, but I think everything can't be for monetary gain. All money ain't good money. And I feel like when you have the attention of people and you want to make a difference, why not take advantage of that opportunity, as opposed to, Black women, we are the most disrespected, underappreciated. You have a Black woman before you. Why not try to build her up, Kevin Samuels? That's what I had a problem with, late Kevin Samuels, God rest his soul. But when you have that before you, why not take advantage of it instead of just beating us down? Because we are already beat down so much. And I'm not going to go. I just want to read this comment because I want to, respect our viewers. Big Will said, presentation and representation is everything. I completely agree with that, because again, it will determine, if we're going to receive from you. Okay, Neil?
I'll say this. I'm not going to say that he was all about click, likes, and money. A lot of the stuff that he said, he was just on point. I can't say that. I will say that his main focus was monetary gain, but was he speaking with a level of passion, and did he have a level of concern, and was some of his rhetoric on point, and was it beneficial? Yes, it was. So I'm not going to say it was just all about the money. I've listened to him a lot. I even listen to some of the stuff now, and because I'm creating content, and I have a lot of stuff out there now, and some of the stuff that I get from out there, I kind of dissect it, I kind of go through it, and I try to put it together along with my ideology and my psychological construct of how I feel about relationships. And so a lot of his content was kind of on point, big fella. I'm not, and you said it initially that it was, and it was. You said you like 95% of it. So you can't like something that's just about money making. You know what I'm saying?
No. You can do both. Two things can be true at one time.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, two things can be true. Let's definitely be clear about that. So I agree with you, Neil, in the sense that 95% of his message, not his delivery, but his message was on point.
Yes.
He was 100% off in his delivery, which is where I would, and again, if you think about Kevin Samuels in the space of reality television, he delivered the exact same product. The product was no different. When we look at the Real Houses of whatever, they all do the same thing. They have platforms where they could lift Black women, but none of those platforms lift Black women. Not near one of them. In fact, when you look at the Real Housewives franchise, it's very disappointing, Anika, to your point, because they have such a large platform with so many women, especially Black women, watching them. They could do so much more with that, but it's they don't. They do just the opposite. And the reason they do it is because of the bag. The bag is bigger if you denigrate people who look like you, right? Unfortunately for us, we've bought into that. I don't know of other communities because I don't pay much attention to what other communities do or how they absorb their information, but it seems as though we're the only ones who have been willing to get on television and tear each other down for money.
Yeah. So
I don't know other communities because that could be the case.
Yeah. So Tanya, I want to hear from you. How do you feel about, like you said, you watch Kevin? I want to go to another thing that Kevin Samuels used to often do. He used to rate women on a scale of 1 to 10. As a woman, how do you feel about, what the thought that I get when I think about somebody rating me? I feel like you got people lined up like a slave. Let me look at you. Let me look up under that hood. What number are you? Okay, you. Like, how do you feel about being somebody labeling the number that you are? How do you feel about that?
I am so glad you asked that question, because while you all were talking about that or mentioning his name, I was thinking about another time that I saw him. The first what I mentioned when we were talking about high value in the money, but another time I saw him, he was rating women. And again, just like I mentioned before, I think it was a trap, because a lot of the women will call in there. I really think it was a trap. But there was one that stood out to me again the most, is when Nicki Minaj called him. And he actually, you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you, Mike? And he actually liked the way she looked. Oh, she had her breasts sitting up. She had her makeup on. She was looking pretty, and she was talking. And she said, she said, well, let's do it, Kevin. And he said, well, no, you rate yourself. She says, no, Kevin, I want you to rate me. And he looked and he fidgeted like a little boy. He was in the seat and he went around like this and he went around like this. And I was too tickled. I sat there and I looked at my phone and I said, oh, he likes her. He likes what he sees. And he said he couldn't tell her she was a 10 because it would have been too much like right. He told her, he said, Nikki, I'll give you a 9. And she says, oh, okay, well, am I pretty to you? And I mean, to see him fidgeting and almost wiping sweat beads off of his head because Nicki Minaj was talking to him, that whole thing was epic. And you can probably find that on YouTube or whatever. So that right there, it's like, I wouldn't feel a certain kind of way, because again, people are entitled to their opinions. It starts with yourself within. With you knowing who you are. You might not be pretty to some people, and then some people might find you absolutely gorgeous. So you have to have tough skin to deal with people, to have dealt with people like Kevin Samuels.
Yeah. I think you don't want to be reduced to a number.
Yeah.
And there's so there. Neil, be quiet.
Don't start.
Don't start.
I want to hear what Neil got to say.
No. I'm about to get shook. I'm about to get shook in a minute. Look, I will mute you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not saying nothing crazy. I didn't say anything.
I know, but I want Shook to respond. I want him to. Yeah. Then I'm gonna get to you. But like I said, I don't like the idea of being reduced to a number. I feel like there's so much more to me that to be desired than like a number. It's just like, okay, I'm a number. I'm reduced to a number.
Yeah.
That bothers me. So what do you think about the whole rating?
This is very layered for me.
Yes, it is.
I understand it.
I'm gonna get to you, Neil.
Neil know what I'm going to say. I'm not a fan of it personally. It is not just the degrading nature of it. It is the white nature of it. It is very European and Eurocentric in nature. But I also say that having knowledge that most of us don't understand the historical relevance of that culture and how they even did marriage in the royal families, and it was a ranking system that don't come from us. That is not African in nature. It's not black in not nature, but whatever the word I'm looking for. That doesn't belong to us. Just like patriarchy does not belong to us, but we practice it, unfortunately. I understand a person saying, okay, I'm more attracted to this person than to this person, but to say, okay, well, you're a 6 or you're a 5 or blah, blah, blah. The problem with it is you could be a 6 to me and a 10 to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the term beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we're just talking about staunchly attraction, it's still going to be a fluctuating scale. It is not a binary subject matter. And for him to do it like that, put it on a binary scale. And I think I don't know if this was his point of doing it, but it definitely degraded the woman, and it is also rooted in male centeredness, centering men, put women in the place, especially black women in the place that they are in at this point. And I also have to say that, knowing that most people don't know what the hell I'm talking about when I say that, but they practice it though. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm not a fan.
Okay, and I'm with you on that. Okay, Neil.
Now you all know that everything in life is rated. Everything, movies, everything is rated in life. Everything. You can't tell me one thing. They steaks. I go to the store. There's prime steaks. There's choice steaks. There's ribeye steaks. I mean, there's wagyu. There's different levels of wagyu. You know, you got luxury vehicles. You got mid-grade vehicles. You got economy vehicles. I can go on and on and on. But I will agree that when you go to label people, it can give a negative connotation. So I will agree with that. But realistically and honestly, women rate us all the time. What's the first thing? If I'm 5'9", I'm rated. I'm not in the top because I'm not 6 feet tall. That's a rating. So y'all can play the game all you want about not like rating. Women do it all the time. All the time, in every level of the word. He don't make enough money. He's not up there enough for me. I don't want to deal with him. He don't make enough. And he's short too. You know what I'm saying? That's a rating. So everything is rated. We're all rated. And so men, we have the right to make decisions based on what we like and what we don't like, what we deem beautiful, what we don't deem beautiful, what we think is classy, what we think is not classy. We have that right to say it, just like you have the right to tell me I'm not 6 feet tall, so get away from me. You have that right. And guess what men do? We accept it. We don't go around here crying about it. We don't cry about it like women cry about being rated. We know, okay, she like 6 feet tall. Okay, no problem, sweetie. I get it. But when we tell y'all a rating, you all get disappointed and get offended by that. And I think that is contradicting, in a sense. But I will agree, Nika, it can have a negative connotation. So I will agree with that part of it.
And I don't think it's so much about women don't want to be rated, because we're smart human beings, right? So it's not so much about the offense. It's about the delivery. I think we all make value assessments. We all get a sense of what works for us and what don't work for us. I guess when I met my husband, it wasn't like I was doing this check and balance. There were things that I did want in a husband. I think the thing that first came to me was the emotional component first, right? I wanted someone to look good, but I don't think women, yes, we want a good looking man, but I think the thing that's most important and just more lasting is someone who has some integrity, someone who's honest. I mean, again, I get you don't see those things right away, but for women, you don't grab our attention until we really start spending time with you. So you can look good, but if you don't have integrity, if you're not an honest person, if you're not a good person, you're not a God-fearing person, for some women, you're not gonna get the time with us. So it's not always about looks for us. And I get with me and you guys are visual creatures. And so for me, I'm not necessarily literally, I guess I don't necessarily have to take this literal, but I guess the thought of somebody reducing me to a number as opposed to looking at my, qualities, coming to get to know me, to understand my qualities first. And so when you see let me ask you this. So when you see a woman, and so right away, what? Why are you raising your hand?
Because I had a question.
Yeah, we want to go after Suge, but I want to speak as well. But Suge,
okay, but when you see a woman, okay, I get you're rating her looks, right? So is that what you're really doing? You're sitting back rating how she looked, guys. But here's the thing, guys, because we all want to talk, so please keep it concise. So, but I want everybody to get to talk, and I want Tanya to get a chance to weigh in too. So you are rating what we look like, and what exactly are you looking at when you're rating us? Suge, you going first?
What am I looking at when I'm rating?
Yeah. Are you rating women?
Yes and no. I'm rating the woman because for me,
The answer is yes, Suge. Stop it.
Yes, stop
No,
it.
no, no, no.
Stop
No,
it.
let him finish. Let him finish.
Nope. The reason why I say yes and no is because for me, I'm not rating for myself on a system of what anybody else thinks. If I like her, that's it. If whatever, however much I like her, it belongs to me. Most men, when they're doing that rating, they are taking into consideration what is other dudes or everybody else gonna think about her when we go out. That's not.
We talked about that too, nigga.
I could care less what another man think. I want to say something. I could care less what you think about what I got on my arm because you ain't got it, right? But the question I have to the women is, if Kevin Samuels didn't say, what do you rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10? You can't say 7 because that was his spit. If he had said, tell me what you think of yourself, would that have come across different to you? Better.
Yeah.
Yes.
They all say they 10s. They all say they 10s. Most of the women he asked them, they thought they were 10s. I don't care what size they were, I don't care how short they were, I don't care how they looked. They say they were 10s.
Well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with having confidence?
Never wrong for how you
That's
feel.
unrealistic.
You never wrong for how you feel.
Unrealistic.
You think you feel like you look good?
Michael, go ahead, Tanya.
Go ahead, Mike. I want to hear what you got to say.
No,
Mike. Let them know.
No, Michael, Tanya first, Miss Tanya. Then we're gonna go to.
Come on, Tanya, give it to.
So I have a question for you, Neil. I have a question because that was a good comment you just made. Do you feel like you look good as a man?
Yes, but I'm not a 10.
Okay,
I'm not a 9.
Okay,
I'm not a
okay,
9.
but no, we're not talking about numbers. We're talking about I'm looking at you, you're well groomed, you keep yourself together, you dress well. I'm sure you know you're clean, whatever, your hygiene and everything. So you're confident enough in yourself, I'm sure, to feel like, so you're never, an old lady told me a long time ago, you're never wrong for how you feel. You might be wrong for what you say, you might be wrong for what you do, but you're never wrong for how you feel. So if they felt like they were 10s, that's how they felt about themselves, just like what Suge just said. He said that if he finds a woman and he likes her and he likes the way she looks to him, he doesn't care what anybody else thinks. So that goes with confidence, or however they put it, high value, whatever they're labeling it these days. You're never wrong if you feel like you look good. If you had told me right now, oh, Tanya, I think I'm a 10. I think I'm on 100. That's what you think about yourself. And you're not wrong for that. Like Nika said, you're putting a number on yourself.
Okay. Suge is not going to date an ugly woman. First of all, so we're gonna call a
straight. Let's Suge tell himself. Let me get to Michael.
We're gonna say what it is.
Let me get to Michael. Nothing I said.
Suge, no, I'm going by what she said, Tanya.
Can we pause?
Suge, I'm not talking about what you said. I'm talking about what Tanya said. Suge don't date ugly women.
I'm gonna mute you. I don't want to mute you.
What I do?
We said Michael was going next.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Michael.
Okay. Listen, no problem.
Look, I'm gonna mute you guys. I'm gonna tell you, I will mute you if you get long-winded.
I'm sorry.
I'm in this space, so I get it. I understand. No, I was just gonna say again, when we talk about Kevin Samuels, let's make sure we stay on point and on task. Kevin Samuels, as he spoke and as he did his thing, when he asked women to rate themselves, it was so they could see how men see them. So what happened is he would say, hey, go ahead and rate yourself. And what he was doing was saying, listen, although you rate yourself as a 10, men don't see you as a 10. Men see you as a 4 or a 5. Whether your girlfriend sees it that way, that's fine, but they're not trying to date you. If a man is trying to date you, and this was in general, so let's just keep that in mind. It was in general. So he would say, you can't use 7, go. Most of the women understood that they were probably, 6, with 5, whatever the case was. and this is all by our parents. And Suge made a good point. It's, for a man, whatever, whoever you're dating, she could be a 4 to me and a 10 to him. It doesn't matter. But what Kevin Samuels was saying, just in general, and women should know this, in general, he was right. A lot of times women will rate themselves as a 10, but men don't see you that way. You could say you're a 10. It feels good to feel like you're a 10. It might even feel good to say you're a 10. In reality, what men think when we see you, because if you're trying to date a man and not a woman, you might say you're a 10, your girlfriends might say you're a 10. We can look at you as a majority and say, ma'am, you're not a 10, you're probably a 4 or 5. And here is why. It may be, and believe it or not, the same scale you guys use, we use when you talk about weightiness. So you would say a man is less than 6 feet tall. He might lose points because he's less than 6 feet tall. He might lose a few more points because he makes less than 100,000. He might make a little bit less because of his job title. So when we get it all the way down, if we start at 10, now he might be looking at a 4 because he's 5'6", weighs 250 pounds, makes $45,000, and he's a sanitation worker. A woman is not generally going to say that man is a 10, although that man might say he's a 10. So you would have women who would come on, they would be what some people would classify as overweight. You're 5'6" and you weigh 260 pounds. And one of the things he did, and he was trying to get women to understand when you want to know where your ranking is, it doesn't lie with you, it lies with us. When we see you, we definitely put a value on it, just like you would, nigga, as a woman, and you have every right as a woman to rank a man because that's your choice. Just like every man has the right to rank a woman. It just so happens though, and this was crazy to me, Anika, because I'm glad you raised this point. Do you know how many women went on it to ask Kevin Samuels to rank them?
Yes.
That was crazy to me, Anika. When we talk about this whole phenomenon of Kevin Samuels, his base was women.
Yep.
It was an overwhelming, it was a majority.
And that's why it was important for him not to, beat us down like that. I do want to get to Neil.
Okay, but let me just say this last thing. So what Kevin Samuels did, and most men who watch the show, Anika, Kevin Samuels had a rule. He would not let men call in. He stopped when men would try to call in, he killed it. He exonerated it. He was like, no, we don't want to hear from you. We only want to hear from women.
Because he wanted to make us look bad.
No.
That's what it felt like, because he wasn't making money off the men, so he went toward the women. Like y'all often do. We the same. We the saviors. We saved the day.
Just real quick. He made money.
No, guys. I really want to get to Neil. Let me get to Neil.
But let me just say this. He made money off of both because he had Patreon, and his men literally gave money to him in his Patreon, which is where money is made, by the way. But good, I'm done, Neil.
Okay, go ahead, Neil.
Look, this rating thing, I understand it. I understand how it affects women. Trust me, I do. But understand this. When we go to the club, fellas, do we pay every time? Every time. Not sometimes, every time. Do you pay every time? Ladies, when women go to the club, in most cases, do y'all have to pay to get in most cases? It's a yes or no.
I'm sorry.
Depends on what time it is. Ladies free before 10 or whatever, but I haven't been to the club in so long. But I can remember, before a certain time, no. To answer your question, no, before a certain time. Ladies free before 10 or whatever the case may be.
And when you go to the club and you sit at the bar, certain women get all their drinks paid for. Am I right? In most cases. And that's why. Ladies, why? Why do women get their drinks paid for? Certain women that always get their drinks paid for. Why is
because men like the way they look.
All right, then. That's a ranking. There are women that go to the club, never get their drinks paid for. They never get food paid for. Never. And they like, I don't never get approached. But you got some women always get approached. They always get their food paid for. They get invited to the VIP sections. They get the share of the spoils of the men that are wealthy in the club. That's because of their appearance. It's just a fact. I mean, we can
But
play.
it sounds a little to me to me, if you always have to be centered around things that look pretty and shiny, I feel like that's an insecurity. I feel like
No,
that's
it's not.
low key.
No, it's
I feel
not.
let me finish. I feel you can't dispute my feelings.
Okay.
I feel low key it's an insecurity because you got to have this pretty shiny thing on your arm to define who you are. Like, why is that so important? Why can't why can't her intellectual ability, other things that she brings to the table, why can't that be just as attractive?
It is.
So you may see a person who's overweight at the bar and you're going to judge that overweight person. You could be missing out on a great opportunity for a great person. And you decide because they don't fit the model of what you deem as attractive, I am not going to waste my time with you. And
it's contradicting.
Sometimes
you're contradicting the height thing with the little physical appearance.
Let me talk. Sometimes we have to date differently. Are you married? Are you single? You got to ask yourself, is it working for me or not? What I'm doing right now, is it working for me? And then the answer is, I'm still single. Maybe what I'm doing, I need to go about it a little differently. That's all.
I agree with that. And I agree with you 100% on that. That's why you have to know your own place in the funnel. You have to know where you fit in the funnel. You have regular people, you have average people, you have high value people, then you have the cream of the crop, the top 5 to 1% of men and women. You have to know where you fit and you fight for where you fit. You can't be a regular average going for a high value man or a high value woman, which is the type of woman that when she walks in a room, everybody's looking at her, men and women alike. When she sit down, everybody's watching how she sit down. That's a woman that is considered to men, the way she speak, the way she carry, her poise, her feminine posture. All of those things matter to men, especially men of higher value, because that's what they like. That's what we all like, but we all can't afford that.
Yeah. She said, have a blessing.
That's right. Your milkshake bring all the boys to the club. That's right. That's right. Come on with it. That's right. Have a blessed one.
To you, Neil, before, like when it comes to all of this, everybody on both sides, male, female, non-binary, will relax their wants and standards depending on a couple things, i.e., there are women who date men who we didn't all seen a woman in the club with a dude and be like, how he get her? He got money.
Yeah.
She wants a man that looks better.
Yeah.
But Flavor Flav, there we go. That's why.
Yeah.
He got Delicious because he had a certain status, a certain popularity, and money. Would Delicious talk to Flavor Flav in the club if she seen him and he was a regular dude? Hell no. Right?
It's transactional.
At the same time, on both ends, a man will date a woman who's dumb as a plum but got a fat booty and some big old things. She looks that the milkshake bringing all the boys to the yard. He will take her out every day and spend all of the money because she looks a certain way, and it makes men look at him a certain way when he's out with her. And she dumb as a plum. He really don't like her, and that's why he's cheating on her too.
That was a bad example, Delicious and Flavor Flav. That was a horrible example.
It was a great example.
No, it wasn't. It was
insulting my guess.
Mike, was it a good example, Mike?
Don't be judging.
It was a good example in the sense that it's showing both sides. Flavor it's transactional, right? So
that's all it was.
So it's on both sides where it's transactional. Women want a man who can provide means for them, who can take care of them. Men want a woman who look good, and they will take care of them if the transaction is right. It is a pay for play system, whether we want to realize it or not. People judge with these right here. Even women see men, with money, and they realize, oh, that guy got money. He's probably more, apt to take care of me or can take care of me. And they see another guy, a short guy, fat guy, whatever the case is. He may not look like he had money, but if he got money, that guy's going to win every single time with women. We see Flavor Flav was a perfect example of that. Flavor Flav, if he didn't have money, could Flavor Flav pull the type of women he pulled? Answer is no.
The thing is charisma. I'm gonna tell you.
No.
Look, Flavor
No.
Flav, listen, that wasn't a good example. And the reason why I wasn't, because that was a reality TV show. And Delicious did what she did for clout. She did it so that she can get some attention. She didn't like that man on any level. She did it for the show so that she can get some clout, so that she can get what she got. She didn't want that man touching her. She knew the
Exactly.
assignment. It was an assignment.
It was
Just
money.
like a prostitute.
Either way, what I said is
Prostitutes
still
they
true.
do it for the bread. She knew her assignment and she followed through with her assignment. She didn't want that man around her on any level, but she understood, I'm on this show. Let me do what I need to do to win or get to the top as far as I can go so people can see my big booty and I can get some attention in other areas and other arenas so I can turn this thing into a monetary asset for me. That's all that was.
Yeah. Okay. I have another question. So we gotta. Would you date Tanya? Would you date someone exactly like you?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yes, I
Why?
would.
What are the qualities that you have? Would you say, you know what? I'm good. I would date somebody like me.
I would date somebody like me at my age now. At my age, I'm not ashamed to say it. I'll be 55 in July. I'm more mature. I'm more career driven than ever. I'm more into my meditating and going to church and my prayer life. I'm more into learning how to listen and communicate better. I know what I like and what I don't like, and I know now to speak up if something bothers me. The younger me, I would say no. But the person that I am right now, I would absolutely,
Oh, that's good.
absolutely, yes.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah.
Would you date someone like you?
No,
You wouldn't.
I would not date a person exactly like me at this point in my life. And I feel like
Okay. That's
my brain, my spirituality, where I am in my life right now is the best that it's ever been. I'm so in love with myself at this point. Even with the things that I don't like about myself, I wouldn't date a person exactly like me because I need to grow. And I feel like if I date a person exactly like me, that's going to stunt my growth. We're going to agree too much. What we're going to talk about. I need to be able to disagree with you to see if I can be with you. And if you're just like me, we agree on everything. And we just sitting here quiet. Well, you know, what we going to talk about? You like that? I like that too.
Okay. That's good. That's good. What about you, Mr. Neil?
No, don't want nobody like me. I'm too strong. I'm a man's man. I don't want a woman like me. I need feminine. I need soft. I need nurturing. I'm a very nurturing. I have a lot of solid attributes. So what I want them to have a lot of my attributes, yes. But what I want them to be like me, no. I don't think that I don't want no super go-getter woman out here in the streets chasing, trying to get the bag to make sure everything is tight. I don't want that. Then that means her time is taken up. She won't have time for me. You know what I'm saying? To me, women, for me, if a woman, I can't date lawyers and doctors and people that are their job is demanding. The more demanding your job is, the more stressful you are. The more stressed you are. The more stressed you are, the more time you have to spend on your job. That means less time for me. I'm already working late. You think I want you working late too? I need you to be able to come bring me something to eat if I'm still working. If you at work and I'm at work, we can't even help each other. Somebody has to be the opposite of each other. I think that's just the way it's designed.
Okay. So, Michael, would you say Stephanie? I mean, back when you were dating, is that what were you looking for? Would you date someone? You're married, so it's kind of hard to
I'll
ask.
answer both your questions. No, I would never date someone like me because if I did, it'd be impossible for me to grow, right? Because neither one of us would see a blind spot.
Yep.
When you're in a relationship, especially a marital relationship, you want the person to be able to see your blind spots because that's why God put you together. That's your helpmate, right?
Yeah.
So what I can't see, they can see. Where I'm weak, they're strong. Where I'm strong, they might be weak or whatever the case is, right? So I would never want to date someone like me. I think Neil gave some great points as well. I don't want my wife to be a go-getter like me. I want her to be a go-getter, but not like me, because that means both of us are chasing the bag, and there's no time for either one of us, right? I don't want her to be as hard as me. I want my wife to be able to be a much, much softer version of me because I know how hard I can be. And that's just because being a black man, you have to be that way. I don't want a mirror image of me. Then that means it's two of us. That's two men. I don't want two men in a relationship. I want a wife or a woman and me as the man to play my role.
Right.
To your other question, when I was looking for a wife, there were only really three things that I wanted. Of course, one of them, I wanted my wife to be pretty. I didn't, that's just me. And I don't care who talks about me and say, well, that's be it superficial or not, that's what it is. I wanted a very beautiful wife. That was for me because I know for me, I wanted someone attractive to look at so I didn't have to go out and look at something else. So I wanted someone that was going to be attractive. I knew, and this might sound superficial, I wanted a woman that could cook. I don't cook. I'll cook every now and again, but I don't cook for the most part. And I wanted my wife to be able to cook and cook well because I am a country boy at heart, although I'm from DC. I love home cooked meals. I think home cooked meals, that when women cook home cooked meals, there's a certain love and attention and nurturing that goes into each one of those meals that she feeds her husband. And so I knew I needed to have that for myself. And the third thing was I wanted my wife to have at least 3 children. If she wasn't willing to have at least 3 children, I knew I couldn't be with her because I wanted 3 children, period. I didn't want 4, I didn't want 6, I didn't want 1, I didn't want 2. I wanted 3. And so whomever I decided to marry, I wanted them to be on the same page. I knew I just wanted 3 kids. I figured 3 kids would be enough. Oddly enough, I got 3 for the price of 2. So I have identical twins. So that was you gotta be careful what you ask for because you could get it. You know, I could have got 3 in one shot. I got 2 in one shot, and that was, oh my God. I love all my kids, but that was tough. Ooh, that was tough.
Yeah.
But that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Well, thank you. So me and Neil had a conversation about one of the things he talked about is women need to know how to retain a man. Say that again. Neil talked about women need to know how to retain a man. And Neil, I want you to explain, what do you mean by that? Because just to hear you say it without explanation, cause it grieved me. So I'm always wanting to understand, right? So I don't want to judge without truly understanding what you mean by that. But tell me, what do you mean by that? And I want the others to weigh in on that too. Like, you know, what is that?
Well, so I'm gonna bring it full circle because we talked about a couple of things and they all commingle. We talked about rating. So the first thing we do when we see a woman is we find her to be attractive. That's gonna get us to want to speak with them. So once we speak with them because of their attractiveness, because we see them with our eyes first, we don't know what the degrees or education, we don't know money, value, any of that. We just see what we see, and that's what determines whether we speak to them. Now, once we get to you, we get your number. So now we're intrigued to hear how you speak, what your thought process is, and all of those things. So now it's her turn to show us, okay, I came to you, I found you beautiful. So what else is there other than just your beauty? So now we get to knowing each other and we get to liking each other. Now listen, I already worked hard to be the man that I am. So men have to do more work than women do. So once we get to that point in life and we get a woman in our life and we show her our value and she sees the qualities that we bring that she wants in her life, she needs to do the work to retain us. There's one thing to get a man. There's one thing to sleep with a man. There's another thing to get a man to keep you and wife you. The retention part is the wifing part. What are the things that you're going to do to get that man to want to make you his wife? That's the retention part. I'm not saying you got to dance and showboat and all that, but I had to do the work to get you to want me to accept me as your husband. I had to do the work. So my retention is my work before I got to you. And so then when I come to you and I show you my qualities are part of the retention part that make you see me valuable. So now that I'm showing you I'm valuable up front, when are you going to show me your value to me to make me say, I need her in my life? I need to keep her in my life. I was married. I got married. And I'm going to say it. I'm on this TV thing. And it's the bomb wife. You hear me? I have nothing to say about my ex-wife bad. If she didn't do nothing else, she knew what it took to get me to say, would you please marry me? And that was a hard thing to do. Because, nigga, you know how I was back in the day.
How you are?
Say what you want, but you know how I was back
I'm
then.
kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking.
You know how I was. So for her to get me, to ask her to marry me and go through it, and we spent all that money and I spent all that, it was a reason. She did the work and she got me. Now, yes, the marriage didn't last, and I played a very large part in that as well. So, but it's the retention. She did the work. You can't just come in the door because you're cute and educated and your money. I didn't care about her money. She didn't pay a bill. She didn't pay a bill. And she used to bring the bills to the house and sit them on the desk. She didn't even open them. She never looked at the light bill, the gas bill, the water bill, the mortgage. She didn't even look at the stuff. She just fling it on the desk. You know what I'm saying? Because she knew that I was going to pay it. You know what I'm saying? Because I showed her my worth. I did the work to retain her, to get her to want to show me her worth to me so that I can want to marry her. So that's the part of the retention.
Okay. Okay.
What you think about that? I want your comment on that, Nika. Is that clarity for you?
No, yeah, okay, and you're right. I did need to kind of respond to that. I guess I shouldn't give you a hard time all the time. Yeah, it makes sense. It's there's clarity there. But I think again, sometimes I get hung up on words. I just feel like if a man, if he doesn't, you can do all the right things in a relationship, and that doesn't mean you're going to retain a man, right? You just got to show up in your authentic self. And that's how I show up your authentic self, because I could be doing all these song and dance and performing, like you said, it's not a song and dance, but in my mind, it sounds performative when you say, you got to retain me. And I'm like, man, that's kind of making me a little insecure. Yeah. So if I kind of slip, that means I may not retain you. So I just feel like I am not a performative person. I study my husband, so I know what he wants. I'm going to miss it sometimes. I am going to miss it sometimes. But if I miss it, I want you to tell me I miss it. I don't feel like it should be, I'm done with you. I feel like give me an opportunity to sharpen myself and be better. I just don't like the word retain, because again, you could do all the right things in a relationship. Does not mean you're going to retain a man. Or
what's the better word? What's a better word?
I just think when you have equal partners, I don't think that even needs to be said. When you're in an equal partnership, I just don't think that needs to be said. It happens organically and naturally. That's how I feel. So I'm going to hear from you. I'm going to Tanya, and I'm going to go to Michael. What do you think about retaining?
So the statement was women need to learn or know
how to retain a man.
It sounds very selfish. When I hear that, the first thing that comes to mind for me, a woman needs to learn how to retain a man when we want a woman. So that sounds very one-sided. You may not have meant that, but that's how it sounds to me. Maybe sustain would be a better word, so to speak, or whatever. And I'm not necessarily trying to get. Well, I have to get hung up on the word because the word is what we asked about. And the thing is, so where's the room for grace or failure in that? Because it's going to happen. And when you gave your explanation on it, it had a lot to do with financial status. And said this to you before also, that's become a fantasy in the Black community, because the truth of the matter is the money for a man, a Black man, to pay all of the bills is not being made by most Black men, and it's not being made by most Black women either, even though women are fastly climbing the totem pole financially, and I'm proud of Black women for that. The money for a one income household is not available in our communities. We have to put our money together. We have to retain each other. I need to know what to do to keep you and get you back on the wagon if you fall off, because that happens in marriages and relationships, and vice versa. And what a person sees in another person to make them want to marry them is very nuanced. It depends. Because for me, I'm a sapiosexual. I really like smart women. You have to be very smart because I'm gonna get bored with you real fast, and I'm probably gonna make you feel like you're gonna think I'm trying to make you feel stupid, and I'm just being myself because I'm a nerd. A real cool nerd, but a nerd, period. So I think people need to know what it is they need in a mate, and most people don't. Across all of the age gap, most people don't know what they want in a mate or what they actually expect because they don't know what they want in themselves. They have not been made to love themselves as who they are. They love a version of themselves that is acceptable by everybody else.
What they do?
Now, I agree with you 100% on that.
Look, I want to hear from Ty, and then I'm gonna go to Michael. Ty, what do you think about that word retain? Thanks so much.
I don't like the word retain. I can respect Neil's delivery, but sometimes the words can be too harsh. I can understand what he meant. He and I again had a conversation, and all of these things are being now confirmed. So it's confirmation that I know that I was on the right track. And I told him, if he remembers, that's why it's so important for us, especially at our big age now, as single people, to show up being authentically who you are. Because like the young people saying, you hear a lot of times on social media, oh, the representative showed up. You know, that's why you have to be authentically who you are. We were just talking about, gave example about going out on a date or something. And if I'm getting off work and it's over the time, we're supposed to meet at 8, I'm getting off work at 7:45. I still want to see you. I still want to go and have something to eat. I'm just getting off work. I'm hungry. Do you mind if I come like this? I don't have time to go home and do this and this. We can just go somewhere and show up how we would show up. And it's important for people to do that and to not pretend all the time, because when you pretend and the representative is tired or the representative forgot to put the mask on, then it's like, you can't retain me. You did this before, but now you're doing this. It's no. That's why you got to be who you are. And once you are, you can't hide who you are. You can't, it's going to come out eventually. You can't hide it. So that's important.
I know, Neil. I know
exactly.
I'm not gonna say nothing.
Like Shug said, you have to know exactly what you want and exactly what you don't want. Yeah. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And don't waste people's time. Don't waste people's time, because when you discover that this is not going to work for me, it's not so much as you got to go somebody to be out, but you're too old to not have communication. Tell them, look, I don't like this. I don't want to waste your time. This is not working for me. This is not going to work.
Okay. Thank you for that, Tanya. Michael, what are your thoughts on that word retain? Are we getting too caught up in that word, or should it?
I think so. I'm okay with the word retain. I don't care what you call it. It's a mutual thing, right? So whatever retaining has to happen from both sides. So whether you use the word retain or whatever it is, I'm fine with it. I just know that it can't be one-sided, right? It can't be that she has to retain me or that I have to retain her. We have to retain one another. What that means is just basic maintenance, right? Meaning I got to respect you and you respect me. One thing that I teach people when they're thinking about getting married is understand something. If you're with someone for any number of years, let's just say 10 plus years, you are going to physically change. You're going to get, you might get a little bigger. You might get stretch marks. Your eyes might not work as well. All these things can change. Your sex life will probably change after 20 years or whatever. All of these things are going to change. So the retaining changes at almost every single, step of that marriage as it goes on, and relationship as it goes on. So the retaining might be, hey, if you're a person, and I think Shug, you said this, knowing yourself, early on in the marriage, if weight is a thing for you, you might want to get with somebody who is a fitness expert, who stays fit all their entire life. They wake up, they go to sleep. This is what they do. For the rest of us, your weight might fluctuate up and down. I always advise, don't ever marry somebody because of their physical characteristics, because they're going to fade. They're going to fade. Men start out with hair, they lose hair, they recede hair, the whole 9 yards. Are you going to leave me because some of my hair fell out. My hair on my face is almost all silver now. It used to be all black. Are you going to leave me because I got silver hair now versus white hair as opposed to black? If I lose my job and I can't make as much money, but you do, are you going to leave me because now I can't pay all the bills, but you can? It's all these things. It's us retaining one another. I don't necessarily care about the word. I just care that there's reciprocal things happen. You take care of me, I take care of you, and we do it. It may not always be 50-50. You can't in a relationship. No relationship is 50-50.
Yeah.
Right? None. Some is going to be 100 some days it's going to be 90 on one person, 10 on the other. You know, when you're married, if my wife is sick and tired, I can't expect for her to give me 50%. I may have to take up 99.1% until she can come back and give me something, whatever it is. So I don't get caught up on the word. I just care that it's reciprocal. Are you in a way that I need to be treated? And am I treating you in a way you need to be treated? Call it retaining, call it reciprocal, call it mutual, call it whatever you want. I'm okay with it. So I do think, Anika, sometimes we can get caught up on words until we get the full context of what is being said or what actually is meant by retaining.
But I think, and I appreciate that, Michael, and I'll get to you, Neil, but I feel like words are important. Words carry a lot of power. And so you have to, I feel like we need to practice communicating how we're going to communicate to one another. Because that word retain, it gives a different type of direct. When you say reciprocal, I can receive that.
I like that too.
But it does give a different layout because it feels performative. It does, but reciprocal means something different. So I think sometimes, for me, I'm a word person. I'm an effective communication person. And I feel like we do got to be mindful about how we package things and present it if we don't want the tone to compete with the real message. If somebody came to me and said, you know what, I don't think you, and I'm not saying you would say this to your partner, but I would say, have the language that practice the language you're going to have if you're talking to that person. Because again, that language kind of lays out it's like it lays out how you see things. And I think reciprocal is more, it seems more like we're kind of collectively coming together. It's a collaboration, whereas retaining seems so individualized. But I feel like it's so important. Like we can say like, well, don't get caught up in the word, but I think sometimes we have to, because we have been historically always using bad language and relationships starts to fracture because we're not sensitive and mindful of how we're presenting things. So we get so tolerant of lazy language. And I think retaining is a lazy word, and we need to do better. That's just how I feel, because I feel like it kind of lays out it lays a foundation of continuously you being lazy in your language. If my would say, you're not retaining me. What's important? Let me finish. What I'm saying is you have to be consistent in how we present things. If we're going to say something, understand, if you want me to receive it, if a woman's out there looking at you right now, Neil, trying to size you up to see if you're somebody for them, I'm telling you, if you're trying to influence, the next generation, or you have a daughter, like, would you tell your daughter you won't have to learn how to retain a man? Like,
that's right. I tell her all the time.
Okay,
you want to know why?
But I'm gonna tell you, most women are not buying that. You need mature women want something a little different. We're tired of the lazy language and not being mindful of how you present things, and just assume that, it's because I want to say it. That's how I'm gonna say it, and that's the end of it. Off, you need to deal with it. But words hold a lot of meaning. It can make or break you. It lays that foundation, and I think as a community, we need to do better with our language.
Nika, just real quick. So one of the things I know, and you're absolutely right about everything you just said. And Suge, I want to jump back to something you said because it's very important. You have to know the person you're dealing with. So, Anika, in dealing with some of the married couples I dealt with, I remember this so very specifically. It blew my mind at first. And I almost couldn't handle the situation that I had to step back and take myself out of it. These two people cussed at each other so bad, Anika, husband and wife. And I was like, what in the world? How was it that this could be considered effective communication? But what I understood, Anika, was this. That's how they communicate. And they communicate very well. And when I tried to come in and introduce something, they were like, listen, don't mess with us. This works for us. So I think that when you're talking about words, and you're right, words hold a lot of meaning. For some people like myself, retain doesn't bother me because I don't look at it and put that much weight on it. What I put the most weight on is your action. Okay. So whether the word is this or that, what is your action? Yeah. Right. And
so I want to read these comments, but go ahead, Michael.
Right. So, I mean, honestly, that for me, that's what it is. And reciprocal works better for me, Anika, because my wife would be more receiving of reciprocal than retaining, as probably most people would. But I'm assuming there's some people out there. Now, if it's just me, I don't have a problem with it because I'm looking at your action. Okay. Whether you retain or reciprocate, it doesn't matter to me. I'm looking at your action.
Let's go with thank you so much, Michael. Neil, I'm going to get to it. I just want to read this comment. Extraordinary Life with Janae. And thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in and commenting and spending your evening with us. After being married for 34 years, words have so much power. Communication, respect, and reciprocity matter. I agree. Let's get one more. Thank you so much, Tony. Words are powerful. Use them with caution and lead with love. Amen. Thank you so much. Right. Someone said facts. I just want to give, recognition for the people who are joining us. Thank you so much. Neil, okay.
Okay, so I got to clear this up because it's like it went over the heads of some folks. So when I say retain, I'm talking about in the dating phase. You listen, you have to learn the individual you're dating. You have to learn them. You have to learn their likes. You have to learn the things that they like. I have to learn the things that the women that I date like. That's my job. My job is to pay attention to them. My job is to do the work on myself to understand women in general, to understand the general things that women like off rip. That's my job as a man. If I want to date a woman, I have to do that. So then I must learn that individual woman and get to know her and her qualities. And I need her to get to do the same thing for me. So the retention is not, you got to dance and flip upside down. We get married. You got to do the same. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying in order for me to say, I want to marry you and spend the rest of my life with you, you must do certain things to convince me that you are worthy of being my wife. And I have to convince you that I am the man that you feel is worthy of you giving your life to. Now, once we get married, things change. All of this retention stuff kind of go out the window to a degree. Then it becomes reciprocal. Once you're married, then the reciprocation comes in. We have to move and shake and do whatever we need to do to make this marriage work. But once I'm dating someone, she needs to understand and learn the things and the values that I have. She needs to understand and try to learn how to fit in my life, and I have to learn to fit in hers. So it's a retention on both ends in the dating phase. Now, once we get married, things shift and change. But if I'm going to date someone, my job as a man is to get to know that woman and understand the things that she like and the things that make her feel good about being around me. And if I'm not able to do that, then I won't be able to retain her because she's going to leave me. If I can't please her, if I can't do the things she like, if I can't understand her ways and be able to move in a way that it works for me and her, she's probably going to leave me.
You're giving yourself too much power, bro. You're giving yourself way too much power.
What power?
That you can do something to make somebody leave. If a person leaves, it's because they don't want to be there.
But you don't have,
you're missing it, Nika. No, listen, hear me out. You don't have the power. You don't have the power to make. You don't have the control to make somebody leave. Like I said earlier, you can be doing everything under the sun to make this person happy, but it is based on where they are in their lives. If a person decides, you know what, I just don't want to be married no more. This person is doing everything that they want to, that I need. But right now,
I get that.
I'm in a phase of my life where, you know what? And there have been plenty of women and men. So again, you don't give yourself that much power because you don't have the power to keep somebody. You really just don't. You don't have that. You don't have that power.
Okay.
So Shug, I want to hear from you.
What you just said, and this is not necessarily directed towards you, Neil. That's going to be hard for a man to compute. To tell a man, don't give yourself that much power when how we operate overall is rooted in having power. It's like glitch. What do you mean? Don't have power, don't have control, don't have everybody do what I want to do. He gonna glitch out. You got to start long before that statement. You got to get to a point to be able to explain to him what do you mean, because most men want control. We want control. We want to be in power. When we say I'm the head of the house, I lead this. That's what we mean. We're not. We most of the time, most men don't. When they say that, we're not saying that and saying, "Hey, this is my family. I'm gonna lead when it's best for me to lead, and you're gonna lead when it's best for you to lead." We saying, "No, I'm the head, and everything fall on me, so I'm gonna make all of the decisions." And it typically doesn't work well that way. And on the other hand, there are some women who would love for it to just be that way. They don't want to help in any of the decision power or any of those dynamics. And I feel like most of the time when a relationship goes like that, that man dies long before that woman does. Yeah. Because he's tired. He's going to die of stress and having too much on his back. And he's never going to say, this is too much. I'm tired. Because he's only been taught to be strong. He's been taught to be powerful. He's been taught to be the leader.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the
Mike.
But
Mike, did you
no. Yeah, just wait. Okay. Just let me get to Tanya. I want to hear from it's y'all outnumber us, so I want to hear from her. Okay. So Tanya, how do you feel about that? When I say that, I think we can't assume so much power, men or women, when it comes to retaining a man, or just making sure that they're happy, because I think happiness starts within. So what do you feel about that? Do you feel like feeling like you have to control or have that power to kind of maintain that? Like, yes, we got to maintain and manage a relationship, but how do you feel about that? With the point that I made about giving somebody that kind of power?
Like, again, I'm with you, Nika. Now that you're saying these words and everything, power and control, I don't want to feel like I have to have power or control over anybody and vice versa. I'm old fashioned. Men should be the head of the household in the marriage. It's biblical. That's what it is. And women should respect that. I do believe that a man is going to lead and he doesn't have to tell you, woman, I'm in control. I'm in power. You know what I'm saying? It's the body language. It's everything. Some things do not have to be said. And when a man leads correctly and you are loved correctly and you are respected correctly, then like Michael said, the reciprocation, it just everything just flows. Like you said, it flows naturally. So it's not about, but when you start like giving words and saying power and control, sometimes that control turns into abuse. Like Michael said, the people were cussing. That verbal abuse is never good because it turns into physical abuse and everything. So I really don't like the word control and power. It should just be a thing where it's understood. And like the saying goes, what's understood doesn't need to be explained. Or maybe I'm quoting it wrong or whatever, but that's the way that's the way I feel about that. Relationships, it shouldn't be like that, where I'm in control, I'm in the power, I'm this, I'm that, I'm going to do that. If you really, really care about somebody, like what Neil was saying before, his ex-wife, she put the bills and everything on the table and everything. If he was taking care of her, she should be taking care of him. And it's not necessarily talking about a physical, sexual relationship. Keeping the house clean, taking care of him, listening to him, talking
Yeah.
to each other, just respecting each other. And it should be that simple. It should be.
Yeah. But thank you, Tanya. So Neil, do you I want to make sure, I want to go to Michael. But the point that I'm making is that when you give yourself that much responsibility, because again, everybody, it always depends on where a person is in life. And you don't have the ability to, like I said, no matter how good you do, no matter how good you present yourself, it really depends on where that person is in their life. Right. So it doesn't have, a person deciding to leave, that has nothing to do with you. In some cases, it has nothing to do with you. It has all to do with where that person is in their life for them to decide. That's just like when a man cheats. That ain't about that woman, that said woman. It's about that man, that makeup of that man. So I feel like we got to be careful not to give ourselves this huge responsibility to retain and maintain. Yeah, you have this you have this equal partnership. You show up, intentionally and organically, and everything just kind of flows naturally. So that's how I feel about it. But Neil, go for it. Go for it.
This is the thing. It's not about control. It's not about any of that stuff. I'm missing something. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know what I'm missing. But if you're in a relationship with somebody, so I'm gonna ask you this question. So if I'm in a relationship with a woman and I'm learning her, right? And I'm learning things about her, right? And I know things that she like, and I'll be like, well, I don't want to do that. And I just don't do it, and I can. Just because I don't want to do it. And then I'm in the relationship more, and okay, she'll like that. I don't feel like I'm not doing it, and I'm just not gonna do it. Do you think if I just keep not doing things, but I'm going to expect her to want to be with me just not doing things I know she like? When you're in a relationship, the goal is both partners be in competition with each other to make each other happy. Now, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm not saying that you're going to do this and the end result is going to be you're going to get what you want. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we have a responsibility to the people that we want to date. We want to date people, we like people. And when we like people and we want to date them and we see qualities in them that draws us to them, it should give us the desire to want to do things that make that person happy and to please that person. Now, we're not going to always win. I can do everything I think a woman like based off of what I've learned, and she still won't be with me. I can't control that. But she's not going to sit up here and tell me that you never did anything I asked you to do. There were things that I wanted you to do and you didn't do them. You never did this and you never did that. She can't sit and say that if I'm making my business to pay attention to her and get to know her and learn the qualities and things that she like so that I can be pleasing to her. I don't see anything wrong with doing that. It's not about power. It's not about power.
I didn't say anything was wrong with it, Neil. I'm just saying, don't think for a minute that you have the ability to control, whatever you do to please that woman. Don't feel like for a minute that's the end all be all. This is going to solidify the relationship. This is going to make sure that she don't look to the right or to the left. She is locked in on me. That doesn't mean that. In either way, it doesn't mean that. Relationships are a risk. That's the biggest risk you can take because people can change in a moment, right? So that it's a big risk. So that's why you can't put so much stock in. Yes, you want to trust people. You can't put so much stock in. I can do all these things and I can make sure that the person is going to stay. You just can't. So I'm gonna let you answer. But Michael, you want to respond to any of that?
There was a lot said. So do me a favor, rewind me back to what the original question was so that I may give you the right response.
So the original question, I basically said, I feel like Neil gives himself too much. How can I put it? What did I say? you're putting too much pressure on yourself. I think there's too much pressure being put on self to kind of no, I hate to, I don't like the word control, but to manipulate or cause a person to be happy. And I don't feel like we have the power to make people happy. Happiness has to start from within. So I don't feel like, just managing a relationship, when you're managing a relationship, I think it's important to understand that it's a shared responsibility, and a person is only going to stay if they want to stay, no matter what you do. And I'm having a menopausal moment, so I'm kind of losing my thought. It is late, but basically that's it. I feel like Neil is giving him. I think he's putting too much pressure on himself to be performative, to make sure I'm outdoing you. I'm competing. I'm loving you, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I feel like it's just performative. I feel like you're putting too much pressure on yourself to maintain this relationship. So, for lack of a better term, I don't know exactly what I said, but
Well, let me respond to what I think you say. How about that?
yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I think you're right, right? In a relationship, you don't want to have to compete with your spouse or your partner, right? That's not something that we want to do. And I don't think we want to exercise any sort of power or control over your spouse. You're right, Anika, in the sense that I think I could be pleasing my wife, but she might think something else, right? And I don't have the power to make her stay. If she wants to go, she's going to go, right? Again, you're right when you say, happiness starts within. If it doesn't come from within, the whole thing is doomed, right? So, and I would agree with you in those instances. I don't know that, just to be fair, I don't know that Neil was saying that. I think maybe it might have. I think maybe with all the conversation, I guess a little bit, it might have gotten taken a little bit out of context. I'm not sure. I don't want to put words in his mouth or take words out of your mouth or vice versa. But you're right, Anika, as somebody who's been married for a long time, been in multiple relationships prior to being married, I've learned over the years, I can't make my wife happy to the point where her ultimate happiness comes from me. That's coming from actually two places. If she ain't getting it from Jesus, then it's nothing I can do.
Oh, that's right.
If she isn't happy within herself, not a single thing I can do, right? I'm going to do everything I can. I think this is what Neil was saying. I'm going to do every single thing as a man that I possibly can do, that I know to do, that I know I should do. I'm going to do all of those things because I want her to be happy. Now, to your point, Anika, is she going to be happy? It's a gamble. I don't know. I pray that she is. I hope that she is, based on past performance, based on past experience. It says that if I did this, she was happy. So let me do more of this to make her more happy, if that's possible.
Okay. Okay.
That's where I land on it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Shug, what are your thoughts? We're going to wrap it up here, and guys, in a few more minutes, because it is getting late. And I do appreciate you guys and everybody that has, been on live and viewing and commenting. Thank you so much. Shug, what are your thoughts on, and I'm sorry that I can't rephrase, like once you say it the one time and it's just like, I said it and now I can't even put it back into words. Like, do you remember the basis of what I was saying?
I thought I kind of went first. Maybe I didn't.
Oh, you did? Did you?
I
Okay.
think so. I'll tell me, did I or did I not?
Yeah, he did. Sure,
He did.
Okay.
He
He
did.
did.
Yeah, he did.
I just was hoping that you are not missing my point.
Okay, well,
go ahead.
I do have one thing. Like for me, at this point in my life, I am the term that I look for, even in a relationship, and I hope that society will make it to this point, will be egalitarian.
Mm-hmm.
Where in an egalitarian relationship or society, it's not about you get to lead because you're male, you're female, you're this, that, and the third. You get to lead because you're more poised to lead. And that could be different depending on what the subject matter or the thing is. That way, it's not all put on one person. Like I was saying before, we see that stress of leading everything, even the things that you don't know how to lead or you're not best to lead, weigh on people in all types of different things, whether it be relationship, the job, parenthood,
Mhm.
all the friendship, all of the things, so to speak, because some people just don't want to say, I need help. Men, we got a problem with that one. Women do too, but I think we have a bigger problem because we're not taught to need help. We're taught to be helped, so to speak, or whatever. But then at the same time, if you are of the Christian cloth, you're going to say that the wife is your help meet. So, but won't admit that you need the help
Mm-hmm.
in some way, shape,
Mm-hmm.
or form, or whatever, and not see the things that she's doing. If you are the guy that can provide things on a financial level, a lot of times that guy doesn't see all of the other things that she's taking care of as equal to what he's doing, so to speak. So I just wanted to say, for me, I long for that period of time where things could be more egalitarian and not just centered on this or that.
Absolutely. The gender
Mm-hmm.
war, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rose. Okay, let's do some final thoughts here, guys. So, because we're going to wrap it up. Again, I thank you so much for this evening. We probably need a part two. There are so many other
I
questions that I didn't
agree.
get to. So I may have to ask you guys to come back so I can have a part two. So, Neil, any final words?
Yes, I just want to say thank you. I want to thank you for this opportunity to let my voice be heard, my perspective, how I feel about things. I just want to just say that I never meant to say in any way, fashion, or form that someone needs to perform for me. But I do believe that people, when they find you valuable and they want to be in your life, they'll do things to be in your life. And it's really that simple. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
And I received that. You sure that's
That's right.
you sure? That's it?
Well, that,
That's all you
I,
You ain't got nothing else to say.
come on, Neil.
let me say this. Let me say this.
You
Look,
didn't know. I want you to say
I
what you
understand.
say.
I understand that men and women are different. And I would never try to deem that we're the same. I would never try to deem that we're equals. We're not equals in the sense of the things that I provide, the things that I do, the way that I'm made up, the way that my brain is designed, my body structure, my voice tone, the hair on my face. We're not made the same. We're designed to do different things in life. We're builders. I'm not saying women can't build, but our body was designed to build. That was just the design of it. So we're different, and so we operate different. We do things different in relationships. We do things different in every aspect of the word. Now, do we have to do some of the same things in life to, as adults? Yes, you have to work. You have to, if you have children, you have to take care of your children. You have to take care of yourself. Yes, all of those things are mutual things, but there are things in life that men do and that men are designed to do and that men do more of than women do. So I just think that we have to stop trying to not understand that reality and try to respect the design and learn to give to each other, be mutually respectful at all times, never be disrespectful on any level, and learn. If we want to be in a relationship, we need to learn to be able to understand that we fit in an area in life. Everybody is not the same in the hierarchy of relationships and desirability. We all don't have the same level of desirability. We just don't. And so if you spend the time to understand where you fit in that area, you'll have a better chance of understanding where you are, because there's more women than there are men. So you can say what you want, how you want to say it. There's more women than men. So the higher the value of the man, the more women want that man. So that's what make these men think that they can do a lot of things, because when they build themselves up, they know that there's a level of value that every woman to a degree would like to have.
Okay.
And so every woman shouldn't want the high value men. It's too much work for a lot of people. We require a lot of work when we go out and work really hard
Okay.
to achieve in life. We do a lot of work to get to that point. So
Okay.
because of the work we put in, we require more. And a lot of women might not want to do the work to retain or to get that type of man.
Okay.
Figure out the type of man you want and go after him. That's
Okay.
all I have to say.
All right. Thanks, Neil. Tanya, Miss Tanya, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I also want to say in closing, Nika, thank you also for having us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I based on what Neil just said, I agree with you as far as saying that we do need to have a part 2 because it does feel like we did talk about a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of things were unsaid because of the time. A lot of other things that we can touch on as far as relationships are concerned, because the first half we did spend a lot of time talking about what we've learned or what we've heard or how Kevin Samuels ran his marketing business, if you will. I do feel like we just need more time to come in and so we can talk more about relationships, because I know it's a lot of people that are probably listening that's probably want to know, what should they do or how is dating over 50? What are the pros and cons and the do's and don'ts of the things that we have experienced as far as married, divorced, single, whatever the case may be. The roles in the household and everything. So I would like to come back for a part 2 if you will have us so that we
Oh,
can discuss
absolutely.
these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Tanya. Thanks,
Mhm.
Neil. So what about you, Shug? What are your thoughts? Your final thoughts?
Final thoughts, just like everyone else, thank you for having me on this discussion. I love this type of stuff. I'm a conversationalist at heart.
Mhm.
Kind of be a great barber, you kind of have to be able to talk.
Mhm.
And I
That's
like to
true.
talk about a lot of things, especially relationships. I think it was a good discussion. Definitely would love a part 2 to
Mhm.
get more into the nuances of these things. We need these discussions in our community, in the Black community. We need these discussions had in this way. I love the fact that we didn't duke it out. We all gave
Mhm.
our perspectives and respected those things. That was the most beautiful part to me. So, again,
Amen.
appreciate you for having me.
Mhm.
I think I got a little hyped a little bit, Shug. A little bit. What about you, Micah? What are your thoughts?
As all the other guests have said, thank you so much for the invite. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I definitely, because I've been married for so long, I'm not sure what dating over 50 looks like. Tanya, I think that's a great subject. I would love to tackle that on my podcast
Mhm.
because I have zero idea, but I know this. I would love to love to help those over 50 because that's just a passion for me since I'm in my deep 50s now.
Mhm.
To help others in their 50s to see what that looks like, male and female, because I don't think it's the same rules apply probably for younger people that they do for us. We got way more years behind us than we do in front of us. And so I
Absolutely.
think the maturity level is a lot higher and the stakes are higher. And I
Mhm.
think that's one thing we don't talk about much, are the stakes being as high as they are. Because if you do want to get married again, if you've already been married and you're in your 50s, the things that you would have done and said, you probably look at that, say to yourself back then, you crazy. It's no way. Tanya, you made a great point. You were saying, guess what? We don't need to dress up to go to dinner. You hungry? I'm hungry. Whatever you wearing, let's go get something to eat.
Oh,
That's right.
I don't need you to put on a pound of makeup. I don't need you to do all that stuff. I'm hungry
Yep.
right now. Let's
Right.
go get something to eat. I'm
Right.
cool with you in your bare naked face with your flip flops on and a t-shirt and some shorts. Let's
That's
go.
right.
Maybe
Mhm.
in my 30s, I might have said, "Oh, you coming out like that? Never
Right.
mind." We 50 something now. We understand what this is. We both hungry. We getting something.
Exactly.
That's what we gonna do. I
Yeah.
say that to say this, Anika. Thank you so much. It was very thought provoking.
mhm.
The topic was great. You did a great job with the topics and handling all these different things as we bounce from one thing to the other thing. I think it was great. A part 2 is definitely necessary.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal from you a little bit and pick up that part of dating over 50. And I would invite, those of you over 50 to come on my podcast and talk about it because Anika, you and I are married. And so it's kind of challenging for us to kind of throw our hat there and talk about what it is.
Oh,
We
yeah.
don't know. But we know we have a passion to help other people get to the place where they want to be in relationship, whether it's to be with a companion or to get married again. So thank you again. I appreciate the conversation. Just like Shug said, I'm a conversationalist. I learned something from each one of you tonight. It gave me something to think about, to go back and think about, and to go back and watch some more of Kevin Samuels to see, Anika, if I did miss something that I can't, go back and figure out what did I miss and I could learn.
Absolutely. I thank you
Yeah.
guys. I guess my final words are, like I said, I'm a big word person, and I feel like we all too often we settle for, this is just how it is. This is just how I am. But I feel like we all have a responsibility to sharpen each other. I learned from Neil. I learned from Tanya, Shug, Michael. I can learn from anybody, especially when it's a respectful conversation, like you said, Shug. I think it's okay. I know, Neil, me and you have this banter, but it's all out of love and respect. I appreciate your point of view. Could you challenge me? And I appreciate you guys all challenge me. And so, but I'm big on communication, because I think historically growing up, we weren't necessarily our parents, not that they did great. However, there wasn't a level of intention about how to communicate. When you think about a child, there's a level of intention, them holding their heads up, them feeding themselves, tying their shoes, ABCs, riding the bike, say please and thank you. There's a lot of intention around those things. But when it comes to social and emotional intelligence, we can get kind of sloppy with it. So I think there still has to be a level of intention, and not to say, well, this is just how it is. This is what I've been doing for all these years. So so be it. Like, no, there's still opportunity for growth. So I just want to encourage everybody to grow, and your expectations should not be higher than your effort. There has to be effort.
I like that.
Tone has to be checked so it doesn't compete with the message. Therefore, we can all grow and learn and prosper. That's how I feel. So thank you so much, guys. We have to message you guys on part 2. I know, Michael, you said you want to do something on your podcast about dating in your 50s. And so I'll exchange information so you guys can have those conversations. And you better invite me too. I want to be on that too.
No, Anika, Anika, I want us to do it on Monday to talk about, about this dating scene in the 50s. What's really going on?
Okay, because me and Michael, every Monday we go on his podcast. So I guess if you guys are available Monday, Chuck, if you don't mind me asking you, how old are you? Do you mind?
43.
Okay, I would have never guessed it.
I know, and I apologize to you, Shug, because I would have discounted you. I'd have been like, he ain't invited.
Exactly.
Not over 50.
You don't look. No. Let me say this. You don't even look like you're in a 40. So kudos to you.
No, you don't.
Well, bless the Lord.
I was saying early 30s. I was 32. That's what I was
30s.
I wish. Man.
Yeah.
Get out of here. We about to go. We finna stop all this.
But Neil, really, if you didn't have your
the one with the compliments.
You can do it, bro. You a good looking man, bro. I'll tell you all day. You my brother. I love you to death. You know that.
Man, I appreciate
I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Let's do the work.
Hey, Mike.
Okay.
I appreciate you, man.
Just let us know about Monday, Nika.
Monday. So we'll talk about Monday. Are you guys available Monday?
Yes.
Actually,
I'm available.
I got to travel on Monday, on Tuesday, and that'll give us enough time to kind of think about this as well. So let's do it on Tuesday, because that's a travel day for me. But we'll do it on Tuesday, and the topic will be dating in your 50s. What's really going on? And we talk about the challenges, the upsides, the downsides. What would you do different now in your 50s than you did in your 40s, in your 30s, and 20s? So just so you guys begin to think about it, and for your audience too, Anika, who's on, I want them to start thinking about this as well, because we want to see relationships done better. So we know, of course, we're a little older. We aren't going to do things the way we did before. And Tanya, I love that example you used about going to get something to eat, because that is so perfect for where I would like to go with the relation, with that whole 50+ dating.
Okay, I like that. But thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you guys. So have a good evening, and tell your spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, thank you so much for lending you to us. So hold on one second. We got one comment just in case. I don't want to. Yes, somebody said, Michael, yes, dating over 50. So we need to get to it. Okay.
All right.
You guys.
Okay.
All right,
Bye.
y'all.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Talk to y'all.
Bye.
All right.